Hey everybody, what's going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. I'm pretty excited to share this deck today. Today we're going to be covering Dragon Link. So, in my tier list, my predictive tier list for the next format post ban list and selection pack, I had put Dragon Link in Rogue. I had said that the coming of the Bystials, I think with Magnmahut and Druiswarm both being at 1, wasn't going to be enough to push Dragon Link out of Rogue, and a couple people in the comments said that I was wrong, that they thought that Dragon Link was going to be tier 3, if not even maybe tier 2. And after playing with this deck now, I am inclined to agree with those people who said I was wrong. I think I was wrong in my assessment of Dragon Link in that tier list as well. I think that the deck is definitely at least tier 3 now that I've actually gotten to play with it a bit myself. So as you can see here, I am on a 60 card build. I have pretty traditionally been on 60 card Dragon Link builds ever since I crafted that Grasslook screener, and I do think that moving forward it is still the way to go here. As you can see, we are playing a lot of the stuff that we would see before in Dragon Link. I have included also a black metal dragon package of a couple of copies in the red bed here as well. But we're still seeing, you know, the Wyverbusters, the Collapserpents, the Rockets, 3 Tracer, 1 Recharger, and then 1 Synchron I have opted for. Synchron not necessary, but I like it a lot for various plays. We have the Absorouters, we still have the 3 Starlieges, but we now also have the inclusion of the Bystials, and I am indeed jamming all of the Bystial monsters I can here, well, all of the good ones anyway. I've got the one of each Magnmahut and Druiswarm, of course, but I'm also playing 3 Saronir, 3 Baldrake, and 3 Lubellion, because I pretty much always want to see Bystials. They are exceptionally good in this deck as not only extenders, but disruption as well. And in both accounts, you pretty much always want to see them. So yeah, I've been liking them quite a bit. We're also playing a couple of the branded continuous spell and traps to go with them. Branded Regained, very, very good in this deck. Allows us to draw some cards just for banishing light and dark monsters, which is obviously something we have been doing a lot even before Bystials came to Dragon Link, but now we get rewarded for it, and we also get to summon a lot of Bystial monsters during our opponent's turn from our graveyard with the Branded Regain. Also playing a single copy of Branded Beast in case you want to do some blowing cards up. Even though it is targeted and it is destruction, it's still removal, and it's still pretty good in that regard. Let's see. Yeah, we still got the 3 Chaos Space. A lot of the stuff, yeah, is just the same. For the extra deck, again, mostly the same. We did make room for Hot Red Dragon Archfiend, because we do have the Rokket Synchron here. We also made room for an access code line, as that is often a way that we can end games relatively easily there. So this is one of those cases where, unlike Branded Despia, Dragon Link is really bolstered in its existing strategies by Bystials, whereas the inclusion of Bystials and other stuff for like Branded Despia, for example, just completely changed how the deck plays. But here, we're going to be doing a lot of the same combo lines we would do before. We're just having a lot more to do in addition to those combo lines, which we will see here in these games coming up. I like this deck a lot. Again, I think I underestimated it pretty hard, and I actually posted this on Twitter earlier this morning, at the time I'm recording this, that I hit an 8-game win streak, climbing from High Plat up to Diamond with this deck. And I would expect that it's going to have some more win streaks for me moving forward, because yeah, it's just so hard to deny just how strong this deck is. Not even just going first either, but going second. Like, you might see a deck like this and think like, you know, decks like these are cool, but if you go second, aren't you just like super susceptible to every disruption under the sun? And I think when you have these like big, long combo-based decks, that is often an assumption that's pretty easy to make. But one thing that can be easily overlooked, especially if you're not used to playing with a deck like this, is that we have so much gas here that even if we get hit with 1 or 2 negates, we're still often able to have a board-breaking play ourselves against whatever our opponent put out on their turn 1. And between not only the ability to put out monsters with extremely high attack points, but also monsters with a lot of various removal effects, it's often it's not often that we find a board we can't take care of with some amount of the tools available to us here. Even still, we are playing some tools to kind of help us going second. We have the triple attacks, which are good first or second. Playing a couple of those. I'm playing a single copy of Effect Veiler. just to have an additional monster negate on top of the 3 Infinite Impermanences, plus being a light level 1 tuner is actually very, very relevant here in Dragon Link as well. Also playing these PSY Framegears. I think that Gamma is actually going to be very good moving forward, just in this meta in general, and the ability to potentially make a level 8 synchro if they decide to fire off a Maxx at the beginning of your turn is very, very good here for Dragon Link 2. It's been a while, honestly, since I've been back to this deck. Honestly, since the Ishizus came out, I think that was kind of like one of the factors that made me not want to play Dragon Link as much. The shufflers do tend to hurt this deck quite a bit, but they're both at 1, and now we have even more support for it. So I figured this was as good a time of any to come back to Dragon Link, and I'm very happy that I did. Like I said, you can definitely expect to see more of this deck from me here in the future as I will continue to adjust and practice with it, so on and so forth. So I think that's pretty much everything I have to say about the deck. Let's go ahead and break it down card by card, and then we'll look at some gameplay. So we're playing 1 PSY Frame Driver, 1 Effect Veiler, 2 Black Metal Dragon, 1 Rokket Synchron, 3 Maxx, 2 PSY Framegear Gamma, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 2 White Dragon Wyverburster, 2 Black Dragon Collapserpent, 3 Rokket Tracer, 1 Rokket Recharger, 3 Starliege Seyfert, 1 Bystial Magnmahut, 3 Bystial Saronir, 1 Bystial Druiswarm, 3 Bystial Baldrake, 2 Absorouter Dragon, 1 Noctovision Dragon, 1 Chaos Dragon Levianeer, 3 the Bystial Lubellion, 1 Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, 2 That Grass Looks Greener, 2 Triple Tactics Talent, 3 Chaos Space, 1 Dragon Ravine, 1 Boot Sector Launch, 1 Branded Regained, 3 Quick Launch, 2 Call by the Grave, 1 Crossout Designator, 3 Infinite Impermanence, and then finally 1 Branded Beast. So that's going to do it for our 60 card main deck. Now for the extra deck, we are on 1 Borreload Savage Dragon, 1 Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon, 1 Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, 1 Baronne de Fleur, 1 Guardragon Pisty, 2 Striker Dragon, 1 Heretic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres, 1 Dragonian Knight Romulus, 1 Dillingerous Dragon, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 Dark the Dark Charmer Gloomy, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Access Code Talker, and then finally 1 Borreload Dragon. And that is going to do it for our list. Now let's look at some gameplay. So for our first duel, we're actually going to start off with a mirror match, although my opponent is only going to be on 41 cards, but they are not a 60 card grass version. I think this is the game, I'm hoping this is the one that I'm remembering correctly, because I want to start by just showing off like how insane some of the turn 1 combos can be with this deck. So I'm going to start off with the Bystial Lubellion. I think this is the game I was thinking of. My opponent's going to Ash Blossom it. This is a great way to start your turn. I love beginning with Bystial Lubellion, not just in this deck, but about any deck you play this card, because half the time you discard this card, it'll eat an Ash Blossom, and that often frees up your plays to do like whatever else you want moving forward. So here, I'm going to normal summon the Black Metal Dragon, and then send it for the Striker Dragon, chain blocking the Striker Dragon to search the Boot Sector Launch, Black Metal searches Red Eyes Darkness, and I'll even throw out the Noctovision Dragon here as well. Alright, Red Eyes Darkness Metal getting added to hand, Striker Dragon effect to add the Boot Sector Launch. Now, I'm going to banish that Noctovision Dragon I summoned to summon the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, then bring back the Black Metal Dragon, and then summon Romulus. I could have just linked to the Noctovision and the Striker into Romulus and gotten a card draw, but I decided to see how well the extra body of Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon on board would do me. Going to use Dragon Ravine, pitching Branded Beast to send Absorouter Dragon. Absorouter is going to add Rokket Synchron. If I didn't already have Tracer, I would have added that for sure. But here, since I already have Tracer, I get to use the extra search for a Rokket Synchron. Now, I'll blow up the Boot Sector Launch to summon Recharger before linking that Recharger into Pisty. I will then link the Tracer into a Striker Dragon. This is all pretty standard stuff as far as Dragon Link plays go. This is stuff we would do beforehand as well. I get to bring back my banished Noctovision Dragon with the Pisty, and then link it off for the Dillingerous Dragon. So I actually will ultimately end up getting the Noctovision card draw just a little bit later than usual. So we end up drawing a Saronir, a very, very good draw off the top of the deck. Now I'm going to use my Recharger to bring back the Tracer. The Dillingerous Dragon brings itself back. We link our 3 Link monsters away for the Borreload Dragon. And then we get to use, normally we would use Borreload to negate Tracer, bring back Recharger, summon Borreload Savage Dragon, and that would be the end of a standard Dragon Link combo. We have a ton of extension on the field here, so I'm going for a Chaos Ruler, not the Borreload Savage Dragon, I'm going to keep going with my plays here. So Chaos Ruler is going to excavate our top 5, revealing a Wyverburster, which I will add. The rest will get sent. I can then use the Chaos Space in order to banish itself, putting back my Dillingers and drawing yet another extra card there. Now I'm going to sync my Rokket Synchron with the Chaos Ruler to make the hot red dragon Archfiend Abyss. So there's an Omni Negate right there. Sacking the red med in order to bring back the Lubellion. Lubellion's effect will place a Branded Regain. Now I'll summon the Wyverburster. Branded Regain will allow me to draw an extra card, which is a quick launch, which is a very easy way to make another level 8 Synchro. I'm going to use the Rokket Tracer with the Wyverburster to go for the Borreload Savage Dragon. Now we have our second Omni Negate, and remember that Borreload is also a monster negate during the opponent's turn as well, so 3 negates and we're still going. Going to grab ourselves a Collapserpent and equip the Romulus, especially the Collapserpent by banishing Wyverburster. I'm going to link it with my Bystial Lubellion in order to go for an IP Masquerena. The Collapserpent effect will activate in order to grab us the Wyverburster from our deck. I then get to use Chaos Ruler's effect one more time to bring itself back. Not going to do much with it, they'll just keep it on the board as a 3k body, and there you go. So yeah, that's a taste of what this deck can potentially put out on turn 1. Opponent's going to immediately concede, and yeah, that's pretty much no surprise given just how devastating our end-board was. And that's just a small example of just how strong some of these Dragon Link end boards can be. Again, especially compared to older Dragon Link combos where we would end on, we would end on Borland and Borreload Savage and used to be satisfied with that, but like now we can do so much more thanks to the Bystials here. But we definitely still have some more games to look at, so let's go straight into this next duel here. So for our next game, we're going to be up against Tearlaments, which is going to be a very much a recurring trend for the rest of this video, as I think all 3 of the upcoming games here are going to be against some variant of Tearlaments. This one is a pretty standard Tearlaments deck. So I can take the first turn yet again here. I'm going to start off with a Black Metal Dragon. Normal summoning that and linking it for Striker Dragon. This hand, fairly similar to the last one we had there, except the opponent's going to throw out a Maxx, and I do not have Ash Blossom or Called By, which is a little unfortunate, but we do at the very least have a Triple Tactics talent in our hand, so we will get to make use of that here. Adding the Red Med and the Bootstep launch, now using Triple Tack to take a look at our opponent's hand there. I actually want to, oh shoot, but you don't get to see the cards, do you? That went by rather quickly, but the cards that my opponent revealed were Foolish Burial Goods, Keldo the Sacred Protector, Blazing Cartesia the Virtuous, and of course now I'm blanking on the last one. Shaddoll Beast, that's what it was. So when I saw that hand, I was like, huh, the funny thing is, were it not for the Foolish Burial Goods, I actually wouldn't have suspected Tearlaments at all. I would have thought it was more likely to be a branded deck that's just teching the Shaddoll stuff, but seeing the Foolish Burial Goods made me think, okay, there's no reason branded really wants to run that, so it's got to be Tearlaments, right? So for that reason, I decided to put back the Foolish Burial Goods, my reasoning being that this will cut them off in their Tearlament package, hopefully if they don't top deck into it. And from there, a hand of Keldo. I guess Keldo, to be fair, is the other kind of giveaway there on Tearlaments. But a hand of Keldo, Cartesia, and Shaddoll Beast really can't do much of anything, honestly. It can go into a Grand Gnoll, but really that's just about it. So I figure if that's the worst I have to deal with, that's fine with me. It's definitely much worse if they use Foolish Burial Goods, Sensilic, add Rhinoheart, and then, yeah, then things get a lot more difficult. So not going to play any more into my opponent's Maxx, but I'm going to fire it during the draw phase. Unfortunately, my opponent had a top deck for Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, so they managed to peel a card that will decidedly shut down the Maxx. But we do still have this Saronir to potentially act as disruption. Fortunately, my opponent's just going to normal summon Cartesia and immediately move to battle, so that's pretty good for me, that they're not going to fuse first. Now they're fusing Cartesia with the Beast to go into Grand Gnoll, as I expected before, using Grand Gnoll's effect to send Bystial Lubellion from deck to graveyard, and that's about all they've got. No more plays beyond that, which is definitely very good for me. I'm going to start by specialing the Saronir, banishing Cartesia out of their graveyard. that will allow them to use the Granganol's effect. I'm going to also throw in a Noctivision Dragon, but I knew Granganol's effect was going to come up at some point here, so I figured I'd just go ahead and you know, get it over with. Looks like they're dropping a Deathstream Proskinian. I'm going to summon a Bystial Baldrake here before linking off my Noctivision Dragon and Saronir for the Romulus. Romulus's effect is going to go ahead and add us our Ravine, chain blocking with not only the Noctivision to draw a card, but a Saronir to send a Bystial Lubellion for a deck to the graveyard as well. So there goes the Lubellion. Here's the Noctivision draw. Black Metal Dragon is meh, whatever. But then I'm actually going to go ahead and link off for Nightmare Unicorn. Nightmare Unicorn will allow me to get rid of this Deathstream Proskinian at a point in time where they're not really able to grab too much useful off of it. Like, they can steal my Romulus or Striker Dragon, which they ended up taking my Romulus, but yeah, I definitely did not want to use that later in the turn when I had a scarier monster for them to steal. Also, you know, now the Proskinian isn't going to be a factor. Moreover, I can now use the Ravine to send an Absorouter from deck to graveyard, adding a Rokket Tracer, then playing the Boot Sector launch over the Dragon Ravine. I think I still had a normal summon, though. Yeah, I didn't even really have to do that. I could have just normal summoned the Tracer and blown up Dragon Ravine, and I guess just held the Boot Sector launch, but going for Chaos Ruler. So now I have lethal. Now I can just go for access code with Chaos Ruler, Nightmare Unicorn, blow up the Romulus, and then Chaos Ruler bring itself back in order to have enough damage for lethal. But we also end up topping a Wyverburster off of the, or not topping, but finding a Wyverburster off of the Chaos Ruler activates here. So I'm just going to go ahead and make access code with the Wyverburster to search up a Collapserpent. Also going to write down access code's usage rate as still from the last video. I am trying to gather the usage and win rates for as many of these cards that pop up, because I would definitely like to talk about that in an upcoming video here. But yeah, like I said, from there it's pretty easy to find an access code lethal line, so we're going to go ahead and do just that. So as you can see, even when Maxx does come down, which is this deck, a lot more so than others like Biggest Bane, we are still able to have enough tech options in our deck to kind of like circumvent and play around that. So let's go ahead and take a look at this next duel here. As stated before, we are up against Tearlaments once again. No branded stuff. Although I guess to be fair, that one did have some branded stuff, but wasn't really playing that much of a branded package. I think the card test here was a bit more of just like a tech, but this one, same deal. It just seemed like more of a quote-unquote standard Tearlaments deck. We are going second this time, which is a little scary. Opponent's going to start with a Scream and then follow up with a Foolish Burial. Foolish is going to send Merly. Merly's going to fuse with a Nail Shadal Aerial in the opponent's hand in order to make an El Shadal Winda. So it seems like my opponent bricked slightly here and decided to just end on a Winda to try to prevent me from making plays, which, to be fair, you know, Winda definitely does prevent this deck from making plays. But fortunately, I did open Bystials here, so I can just grab a Magnmahut off this Lubellion, summon the Magnmahut by banishing said Lubellion, and of course trigger the effect of search. And I'm just going to move to battle phase and smack over this window, tossing out the Black Metal Dragon because I am planning on normal summoning it anyway, and I might as well get in some extra damage. But it's got a Saronir to prevent that extra 600 damage, but that's totally fine. Now moving into main phase 2, I get to just go completely off without an El Shadal Winda, and honestly really anything in my opponent's hand is probably not going to be able to stop me here. It's pretty unlikely they still have Relevant Hand Trap as their last card, given they haven't used it so far. So yeah, I managed to find a Boot Sector launch there, and now going into the Romulus with the Magnmahut that's already on board. I'm going to use this to find the Ravine naturally. Activating the Dragon Ravine, we get to discard the Absorouter. Normally we would send it from deck to graveyard, but since we already have it in hand to discard, we'll just send an extra Lubellion to the graveyard instead. Now playing the Boot Sector launch over the Ravine. Boot Sector launch effect will bring out the Rokket Tracer. Rokket Tracer effect to blow up the Boot Sector launch, bring out Recharger. This, again, is pretty standard Dragon Link combo stuff. We're going for the Romulus, Pisty, Striker Dragon kind of triangle to use Pisty to throw one of our banished or in-graveyard dragons in the middle. And now we link the Pisty and the dragon that was resurrected to go for the Delingers Dragon. Striker Dragon will then destroy the Delingers Dragon to add Rokket Recharger. You do have to add exactly Recharger here, so that way you activate the Recharger's effect, discarding it to bring back your Tracer, and then Delingers Dragon will bring itself back. Now we can link the 3 of these off for our Borreload, or Borreload Dragon, rather. And because we still have Bystials and just other stuff in general on the board, we still have plays. Again, we're not going for the Borreload Savage Dragon just yet. I'm going to make a Chaos Ruler first, the Chaotic Magical Dragon. Going to excavate the top 5 cards of our deck, ideally looking for either Wyverburster or Collapserpent, and we do end up finding neither, actually. I thought we did find one or the other, but it was actually a Saronir that we're going to use for some extension here. Sacking the Chaos Ruler in order to bring back the Lubellion. That will allow us to not only place the Branded Regained into our spell trap zone, but now I can bring back the Chaos Ruler from the graveyard and get a card draw from this Branded Regain in the process. Now, since this is going to get banished anyway, this Chaos Ruler, I'm just going to end up banishing it to summon this Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon here in a moment as well. So we do actually ultimately end up finding the Wyverburster just from the Chaos space that we drew off of the Branded Regained. I thought it came up again here, but yeah, because now we get to bring back the Rokket Tracer with Red Med, sync for the Borreload Savage Dragon, going to add the Collapserpent off of the Wyverburster as well. So this board state is looking pretty similar to the last one. Oh, and you know what? Actually, if I had utilized this Quick Launch earlier while I still had Chaos Ruler out, I think I could have actually added a Hot Red Dragon Archfiend to this board as well. Which would have been another Omni Negate, which would have obviously been optimal and good, but definitely still have a strong enough board here. That's interesting. Was that 19.1% for AP Masquerade? I definitely want to make a note of that there. Yeah, I said this before in the branded Bystial Despia video that I recorded recently as well, but this feature that shows usage and win rate statistics, I think it's a lot more than what the players seem to be thinking of it as right now, which is like fun facts and cool little trivia. This could very easily, if we get enough of these statistics, give us a window into what the actual, like, it'll very much help with metagame analysis, right? It'll make it much less subjective and much more objective, as we have a much bigger pool of data to work with. And this pool of data isn't just from, like, decks submitted to Master Duel meta, for example. Opponent's going to try to bounce our Borreload with the Kaleidoheart. I'm just going to go ahead and negate that here. Then use the IP Masquerade before they end their main phase. Looking with the Rokket Recharger to go for our Nightmare Unicorn in order to bounce back the Kaleidoheart here. Let me write that down as well. Nightmare Unicorn is at 20.6%. And at that point, the opponent is not going to have too much more to say. They're just going to go ahead and concede. Very nice. So there is us winning, despite going second and not having too much disruption. Although it didn't. We have. What did we open again? let me see what I opened before I said that. Oh yeah, it was pretty much just the Bystials there. But yeah, pretty good stuff there. So we have one more duel to take a look at. Let's go straight into it here. More Tearlaments here for our last game. This time it's going to be a 60-card variant featuring not only branded and Bystial stuff, but a very significant Shaddoll package. Although, to be fair, I think all the Tearlaments we've played against in this video so far we're running a Shaddoll package as well. This time around, we are going to be going second again. We did open with an Ash Blossom, as well as that grass looks greener, so as long as we can manage to last till our opponent's turn, we're looking very solid, especially with the Crossout Designator as well. Not going to be using my Ash Blossom on either the Aluber or the Lubellion. I'm going to save it for the Branded Fusion here. And it does end up resolving, which is definitely ideal. So we know two of our opponent's cards. And our opponent's going to use the Branded and High Spirits right here, revealing the Squamata, sending the Granganol to add a Cartesia. This will, of course, also trigger the Squamata, and use that in order to send or add the Beast, rather. So that does stop our opponent's turn for the most part, thankfully. That one Ash Blossom there. Gonna fire off this, that grass looks greener. Unfortunately, we are in a 60-card mirror, but I did still at the very least get to send, like, I think about 5 cards to the graveyard, which is definitely better than nothing here. Alright, Striker Dragon is summoned. Gonna grab us the Boot Sector Launch. Not going for Ravine just yet. I'm actually gonna go for the Rokket Tracer first, or rather, not the Rokket Tracer, but the Striker Dragon effect in order to get back the Rokket Recharger to summon with the summon both of them with the Boot Sector Launch. Opponent's going to try to use the Magnmahut here, but I've got my trusty Crossout Designator. I'm going to use that to go ahead and negate the Magnmahut. And I guess my opponent decided to just not see how the game plays out from there and ultimately concede. I do think that was a bit of an early concede, but Perhaps they just, I guess, assumed / realized that I had a full combo from there. It wouldn't have been the same kind of combo line we've been seeing, because I am blowing up my own Striker Dragon and using the boot sector launch first. I would have had to have improvised quite a bit, which is why most of the reason why I think it was a bit of an early concede for my opponent, but definitely not going to argue against that, that's for sure. So yeah, those are our games with Dragon Link. Like I said, had a ton of fun playing it and had a lot of success with it. So this is yet another deck that I am going to definitely keep practicing moving forward here. But that's going to do it for today's video. So let's move now to our outro. Alright everybody, thank you so much for watching all the way to the very end of the video like this. That means a whole lot to me. Not just personally, but it's also a great way of supporting the channel as well. If you're interested in supporting the channel in other means, you can of course feel free to comment and or subscribe right here on YouTube. I'm always looking to the comments section. You guys leave some pretty awesome feedback as far as like constructive criticism goes when it comes to deck building, gameplay, channel content, all that stuff. So feel free to leave your opinion down there. I will be sure to take a look at that there. And then subscribing is going to be the best way to get notifications of when these videos drop. That does happen every day, by the way, so if you're looking for daily Master Duel content, you've come to the right place. And there are more places where you can get some daily Master Duel content. If you check out the description below, follow the top link over to my Patreon page. There for just $5 a month, which is as much as you pay for a booster pack. You'll find a lot more value than a pack full of filler over there. We've got some previews for content upcoming here on the channel. We've got some exclusive games that are only posted over on Patreon over there. We've got some Q&As, and then you can also have your name featured in this lovely credit sequence where I thank all of the people who are helping contribute over there on Patreon. It's a huge support to the channel, and it really means a lot as well. So thank you everyone who is donating that is featured here on screen. And again, you know, it's not just a pure donation. You do get some more daily Master Duel content over there just for being a part of the Patreon. But I think that's about all the time that I have for today's video. Once again, I just want to thank you so very much for sticking all the way to the end of the video. Again, it just means a lot, as I do put a decent amount of work into getting these videos out every single day. But that's about all the time that I've got for now. So without further ado, this is XLex. I'm signing out, and I hope you have a fantastic day.